Hi everybody, it's Barb at Quilt Tapping, and we are here today to work on block number 10 for our block of the month. So this is what it looks like. Dun, dun, dun. Isn't it beautiful? I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. So this is block number 10. We are almost finished. I'm so excited. So this is a tutorial for beginners, so please feel free to watch the whole thing, skip ahead, do whatever you need to do to get through the video. So I don't know what else to say. Anyways, I hope you enjoy it and like it, and I will see you when we get started.
All right, so to begin block 10, we need to start with a few things. We need our pattern, obviously. Okay, so there's our pattern. And then we've got a dark apricot and the minty marble, which are the same size. We have the light apricot, which is a little bit longer. And then we've got the teal green floral. I couldn't think of anything else to call it, but it's teal green floral. And then we have our background fabric, which we are also doing the little dots again this week. So we're going to cut these up according to the pattern. So it looks like the beginning of our pattern starts with the teal, so let's start there. And it says, let's see if I can keep this in the camera for you. That'd be kind of neat. That's a neat trick, right? We have an 8.5 by 8.5 inch square. We need to cut 4 4-inch squares. So I'm going to check and see if these are straight, and they are. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this over on the 0 and line it up so it's still straight. And I'm going to cut 4 and 8, and then I'm going to, actually, because I'm on the end of my table, I'm just going to turn and I'm going to do 4 and 8 over here. But if you don't have that, then you would just turn your fabric. So I'm going to use my ruler. Ignore all my little tape lines. I put tape lines on when I'm trimming a quilt. Okay, so here is 4, and be careful when you lift it that you don't move anything around. If you do, no big deal, just, fix it. Okay, and then 8. This is my, my little scrap piece, so I'm gonna set that aside. I almost said threat that aside. Oh, that sounded weird. Oh, and then I moved it because I was trying to straighten it a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to, you can either turn them and cut 4 and 4 again, or you can just go on the other side, which is what I'm going to do. This is called Lazy Girl. Oh, goodness. Do you see what I almost did? I'm not on 1. Or 0, I mean. Holy cow, I would have ended up with 3 inches. Maybe turning it's a better idea. Oh, well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go to 4. And then I'm going to go again to 8. And then I just have a little tiny bit to throw away again. So that's nice. I like it when there's not a lot of waste. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are my teal squares. I'm going to set them aside. Next, I'm going to go over here to the minty marble and the dark apricot. And since they are the exact same size and we're doing the exact same cuts, I'm going to layer them and do them together. These ones do not seem to have quite as straight of an edge. Here, let me turn this over so you guys can see the, well, now you can't see it because the minty is smaller apparently. So I'm going to actually square this off first so that I have a nice straight edge. So what I'm doing is I'm going just a little bit past this line and a little bit past this line so that I can get a nice clean edge on both pieces. So that's really important whenever you're starting your cuts, because you want to make sure you always start from a clean edge. So I'm going to just go ahead and line my ruler up on that line, and it doesn't need much, but that was not a straight edge. So, I mean, that little bit can actually make a big difference when you get down to the end of your block and your cuts. Okay, so I'm being careful not to slide it because there are 2 pieces. And they weren't lined up perfectly together, and since I want to cut them at the same time, I didn't want to, have it wrong. So instead of using the mat this time, I'm going to use my ruler so I don't accidentally line up on the wrong thing. So what I want to do is I'm using the white side of my ruler because these are the whole numbers. I'm going to just go ahead and go over 4. So I'm lining it up on this line and the 4 line to make sure that I have it straight, and then cut. And then I'm going to do it, well, actually, then I guess I'm going to pull these off, scoot it over, keep them together. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm on this line. I know it's hard for you to see on the camera because it's minty green, but, and then I'm also right here on the 4 line. So I'm going to trim that off. Toss that little tiny bit. Now I'm actually going to layer them again, but I'm going to turn them. I'm going to layer all 4. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go to my 4 line. And I'm on this bottom line to make sure that everything's straight. And I can see it's straight on both sides. Now this one has 4 layers, so you got to press just a teensy harder. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 2 of each, not the 4 total, but 2 of each color. Okay, so next I'm actually going to go over here on the pattern. I'm going to do the dark or the light apricot first. I always do the background last. I don't know why, but I always do. And this time it looks like I just need 3 4-inch squares. So pretty straight enough in my book, actually. I'm not going to lie. I don't get too picky. I mean, you want it as straight as you can, but if it's got a tiny, I mean, it's probably 1/4 of a 16th. Who cares? I did make sure I was on 0 because I'm going to use this. I think it was actually faster to use the mat. 4, 8, and 12. I think I have a nick in my blade, and I'm sorry if that was really loud. I was really close to the camera when I did that. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So you know what? I'm just going to layer them. I was going to turn and just go to the edge of the table, but It's so funny because I very rarely do things the same way twice. It's fine. It's fine. As long as it gets done, right? Okay. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Oh, I was freaking out because I didn't have my ruler on there. I thought I didn't cut it square. It's because it was down on my ruler a little bit. Whoa, the things you got to pay attention to. Okay, so now I have 3 dark or light apricots. Those are actually for your corners and your center. Now we move on to the background. So according to the pattern, we need to make 6 4-inch squares out of the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half. And then I'm going to put my fold right on the line because I'm going to cut 3, just like we did the light apricot. Well, I keep saying the wrong one. Light apricot. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut 4, 8, and 12. Then we're going to turn it and cut off the other side. But I'm also going to start right here on the edge because I want this to be a clean, straight spot. Anytime I'm hanging my ruler off the edge like this, I cut really slow. I feel like the faster you cut, the more likely you are to move your ruler. So I cut really slow when it's a careful cut that I need. Okay, so here's 4. It felt like it had a bump in the middle. Okay, here's 8. And we're going to go to 12. Just like we did on the light apricot. Okay. Now this time I'm going to be really careful when I pick it up. Okay. Now, well, I guess it doesn't matter because I have to move it. I'm going to put it down here and see I'm past the 4 over here. I hope you can see that. I'm past the 4 and I'm a little bit past my line on the bottom. I want to go just smidge past it so that I can trim off that fold, and then I'm going to line these all right back up where they were. Okay. You could cut these all separate if you want to. Not a big deal. I'm going to cut this one first because it's on the outside. I don't want to cut it and then have to move my ruler back this way if I started over here. So I'm going to start here. Okay. And then put that back. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to line up on my 0 line because I'm cutting off my fold. Oh, that is, nope, that's the 0 line. Oof. I'm used to a different mat. Okay. There. And now we can take these edges off. That was not a lot. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is all my cutting that I need to do for this one. And when you look at the pattern, you can see that it's really just mostly half square triangles. So all of these are half square triangles. We just have to pair them up properly. And then except for here at the end, pardon my fingers, sorry. We're going to snowball the little middle to make that little bar part. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to make the half square triangles. So we need 2 sets with the light apricot in the background. So 1 set of the apricot is going to get subcut into this. I'm going to do this later when I'm getting ready to use it, just because I think it's easier not to lose a big piece than 4 small pieces. Okay, so we need to pair this one up. This one up. I think we're just going to pair them all up. Yeah. Okay. Oh, no, we're not. So we need B, which is the teal and the background, and we need 4 of those. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these all go together. And then we need 2 sets with the minty marble and the apricot together. So these are going to go together like this. Okay. Now, one of the things you need to do is you're going to make half square triangles. So we're going to have to draw a line from corner to corner. So normally we do it on the background piece, which we're going to do. However, on these, just pick a piece. I usually pick whichever one's the lightest color, and that gives you the best chance to see what you're working on. If you're working on a really dark color, you might want to use like a white pencil or a chalk line or something like that. So you're just going to draw a line from corner to corner on all of your minty pieces, or the lightest of whatever color you're using for this pair, and then all of your background. And this is pretty straightforward. If you're using diagonal seam tape, you don't have to draw the lines. I can actually, when I get to the sewing machine, you're going to actually line up your point on the, I believe it's the right side. I can double check when we get over there. Pretty sure that's it. Now, always make sure you give yourself, like I put my pencil down where I want it to be, then I slide the ruler over to it. And then on the bottom, I give myself a little bit of extra room so that my pencil width can make it so it goes straight to the corner. Otherwise, you'll be slightly off your corner. Now, it's not going to be totally like, oh my gosh, if you do, because we're going to trim these down. You have a little bit of room to play with. You have like a ½ inch to play with. But, you know, I always try to do things right the first time. You know, because then I don't get careless. It's when you get careless that things start going wrong, right? Or start getting too sloppy. And we've, oh, see, now that one got a little bit off. Probably because I didn't have it lined up very well. See how this is off right here? Okay, we want it in the corner, so I'm actually going to redraw that one. And put my pencil back in, but this time I'm going to... And I made it darker so I don't forget which one to follow. It doesn't matter, you guys, on these because you're cutting that off. It's not going to show through on your quilt. If you were using a bright, you know, like a black Sharpie or something, maybe, but this is a pencil line and it's not that dark, so it's really not going to show through. And the final one. I know this is kind of the boring part, right? Drawing these lines. That's why I like diagonal seam tape. If you haven't used diagonal seam tape, you really need to. Maybe I'll make a quick little short video on it sometime if you haven't seen it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these over to the sewing machine and I'll show you in a darker color. we're going to sew a 1/4 inch down both sides of the drawn line. And then we're going to come back and cut them apart. So I will see you over the sewing machine while we get ready for that. Okay, so now we're back at the sewing machine, and we're at the sewing machine. We haven't come back where we weren't here before. So we're going to now go through here. I'm going to sew all the way down. I'm going to chain piece, and I'm going to sew down one side, and then I'm going to snip mine apart because I don't like doing it all put together. I know a lot of people do, but I don't. So, and then I'm going to sew the other side. So this part, I mean, it's pretty just sewing straight lines. You can watch it if you want or fast forward. I don't care. So the choice is yours. All right, let's get going. And yes, if you're using diagonal seam tape, it is on the right side. Put your point on the right side gray line and you will get your 1/4 inch. So I've got mine lined up right here. Just follow it along right here. And you get a 1/4 inch. It's wonderful stuff. Whoa, that one moved. Well, maybe I never lined it up. Who knows? Come on. It was kind of wrinkly. I probably should have pressed it first, but... Oh, well, I didn't, so it'll get pressed in a minute. This is quite the easy block to make, but I think it's going to be really pretty, so... I am absolutely in love with these colors. Obviously, I picked them. Okay, now I'm going to use my blade saver and I'm going to separate my blocks so that I can run through the other side. So this is really neat. When you pull them off, you can actually just put them in the pile the exact same way. That way they're all ready to go when you're ready to do the next side. So I'm literally throwing them in this pile right here with the line facing the same way. That way when I pick them up later, I don't have to worry about which direction they're facing. I'm not a fan of having loose threads. I was going to strands and threads. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn it so that it's ready to go, and I'm going to grab this. And I'm going to line up on my gray side again, or I'm going to just put my 1/4 inch foot along my drawn line. To be perfectly honest, I'm doing both. See how easy it is because they're all in the right order? I don't have to stop and look. I can just see exactly what I need. Just grab it and it's ready to go. Work smarter, not harder, right? Fast. Okay, I'm going to cut them apart again. Get out of there. Okay, So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the cutting mat and we're going to literally just put our ruler in here and cut these in half. If you don't like using the rotary cutter for that, no biggie. You can actually just get out your scissors and cut all the way down. I like the rotary cutter, so I'm going to go ahead and use that, and I'm going to cut these apart. So I will see you over at the cutting station. Okay, so we're back over here, and we are going to take these and we're just going to cut them apart. That's literally all we're going to do. We're just going to put our ruler on our drawn line, or from corner to corner if you didn't use a drawn line, and then just throw them in a pile. It is that quick and that fast. Oops. If you can get it over the seam. Come on, little guys. Being a little feisty today, aren't you? That's all right. Ooh, be careful. Sometimes when your seam is light, when your stitching is light and your fabric is light, you could actually get over there, so be careful. The other ones were fine to see, but this one, the stitching really blends in with the fabric. Probably because it has the apricot underneath it. I'm not really sure, but it blended in and it was a little tough right there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to the pressing table. Well, we're not going to go. I'm going to go. And but so I do recommend pressing your half square triangles this time. So what you want to do in order to do this, you always put the color you want to go towards on top, and then you flip it over, right? And I'm going to do a finger press because I don't want to do a big pull. If you put it on the iron and smash it over, you'll tweak it. See how it stretches? And you don't want that. You want it to be a nice, straight, crisp edge. So I'm just going to go through here. Oops. Color on top. Flip it over. I do like to do a good finger press before I go to the iron. It stops me from doing what I just said and just putting it on the iron and stretching it. So it does actually keep me from making a big mess out of everything. We are going to trim it so it wouldn't really affect the block later. However, when you get done, you could have a big bubble right there. You know, when you get done with a block and you've got like a big bulge and kind of like a loose piece in the middle. And that's not cool, because then when you're going and you put the whole quilt together, you're going to end up with a, you know, lumpy spot right in the middle. It's kind of fluffy. And then if you're getting it long arm quilted, that's kind of hard, especially for the long armor, because they, you know, everybody wants to do a good job. And if you have a lot of extra fabric, it could fold over. And so you don't want that. Okay. So apologize for my fingernails. I'm having some difficulties. They don't really look as bad as they do. I picked half the polish off last night. So I meant to redo them and I forgot. So it is what it is. Life's hard, right? Yeah. Okay. Almost done. I know this seems tedious, but it really does make a difference in the long run. That one, the fabrics are more pulley than the other ones. This is a batik that is much less stiff. You know, a lot of batiks are kind of stiff, and actually, surprisingly, both of these batiks are really soft, which is fine, but just being a little bit extra careful, because that first one I did felt really pulley. Okay, so this is the last one. All right, I'm going to go over to the cutting mat and I'm going to just press it straight down, give it a little bit of a heat. You don't need to do steam necessarily, but a little bit of heat would be helpful. Boy, you are being difficult. Of course, in the last one, right? So I'm going to go do that and I'll be right back, and then we're going to square them up. Okay, that was so fast, right? So we're going to square up our blocks now, our half square triangles, and there's multiple ways you can do this. You can if you've watched my videos, you've seen this. Oh, let's not use that one because that's got the mint on it and that's hard to see on the mat. Here, you can, put it on here and you can line up your corner and your 45-degree line. And we're trimming these down to 3.5 inches. So like if you look on this one, it's hard to see, I know, because this mat is, the lines don't go far enough. Anyways, I'll put it on the halfway dots and then the halfway line right there. See, and you don't have hardly anything to trim off at all. It's just that little tiny bit right there. So let's line that back up on the dotted lines. Put it back on my 45, and then you can also cut the bottom off. Okay, didn't need much, see, didn't need much. Then you can turn it around, line it up again on the 45s. There we go. And then you can go to, maybe if I cut this one off first. Cut this line off, because that's the 0. You can tell I don't do it this way very often, right? Because I use my block lock, which I'm going to pull out in a minute. And now, see, this one is already at 3.5 up there on the top. That's okay. But down here, I got to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one goes right here. So this one didn't need a lot of squaring, but by squaring it, you also take off the little the little dog ears. So that's kind of nice. Okay, my favorite way to square up a block is using a block lock trimmer. This is a block lock trimmer. It has a ridge on the back, and it literally, it has like a valley in here. So I don't know if you can really see it on the camera, but anyways, what you do is you take the word block and you put it on your background. Okay, so I'm going to put this on my background, and now it locks in place, and I can slide it all around on my block. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm trimming to 3.5. So I want to make sure that I can get my block within 3.5. So this spot right here is exactly 3.5. This side goes past, totally cool, because I want to be able to trim off a little bit. And I know I'm locked in because it's locked. I can slide it. So I'm going to cut off. And then I'm going to go across the top. I always pull because I don't like starting in a corner. And then that side is done. Now, you can actually just turn it around and slide it right back to the other side. I'm trying to get it where you guys can see the lights above me. I can't do anything about it. I mean, they're on the ceiling, so, but yeah, you can't really, trying to figure out how I can get those lights off, but I can't. So I apologize for that, but so here I'm going to lock it up. There we go. And I'm going to 3.5 and 3.5. And now I can just trim off this side and that side. And boy, I did not need a lot of trimming on that one either. But they look so pretty when they're done. So I'm going to keep going through that, and I'm going to trim up all of them to 3.5. So always put your block on your background. Okay, go to 3.5 or past it if you can. Trim, trim. I don't know, I'm always obsessed with pulling off the pieces and then just putting it back. And you got to turn this too. Okay, so 3.5, 3.5, trim, trim. Beautiful. I'm going to actually try to move the camera just a smidge so that I can fit on the table a little bit better. There we go. Hopefully you didn't get dizzy. Okay. 3.5. Oh, that hardly needed anything at all. Okay, turn this around. If you get a weird number and you like can't line it up to 3.5 to save your life, it's probably, oh, I guess I didn't trim that one very good, did I? I'm going to go back and get that one. It's probably because you have the block words on the wrong side. Now, if you notice, this little piece right here is slightly off. I don't know if you can tell. Does that help at all? This little piece is slightly off. And so that's okay because, yes, I know it's not perfectly straight, but it's not going to matter in the grand scheme of your block because it's way small.
So I am not going to worry about that at all. Oops. Okay. And that is actually close enough. So I'm going to just roll with that one. There are no perfect things in the world. So hopefully that little move I made is helping with the lights. It kind of looks like it from my angle. I've got it leaning on the table. So if I bump the table, we're in trouble. Oh, see, I just did it and I couldn't figure out why is that so weird. It's because I put it in the wrong spot. Now I can get to 3.5. Okay, there we go. That didn't need much. Basically, I just trimmed off my little doggy on that one. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going through here, and you feel free to fast forward through this boring stuff. It is boring, but it does help. Missed a little spot right there. Like I said, I think I have a nick in my blade. But since I just replaced my blade a little while ago, I am not going to change it. I will deal with it for a little while. It's amazing how fast they can get a nick in them. Come on. Little turkey. Okay. I actually like half square. Whoa, that doesn't look good at all. To redo that side. I actually like half square triangles. I think they are, you can do so many cool things with half square triangles. But on the flip side of that, ooh, pain. Gotta trim them. There's so many. But they do make cool blocks. So you can do lots of neat things with them. I'm sorry. Well, this is a weird angle. Boy, I didn't line that up very good for myself, did I? There we go. This is also early in the morning for me, and sometimes I need a little bit of a break, so. Now, this one is a little different because you don't have a background. So, but we did, this is the, like the background side. I know that because there is a ridge here. So you always want to make sure you put this on the side that's background that's going to go against the ridge. That's how that works. So just so you know, because this one is a little bit different because we use two colors. And sometimes you have to, according to the directions, you have to actually press to the other side of the fabric, and that's not a big deal. Just make sure that you have it so that you can put the lock on the back, the little ridge, up against the ridge on the block. So that's all you need to worry about. Okay, so let's see. So remember, the blue or the minty green is the background, so we put this on the background and trim. So it doesn't matter what color is your background as long as you are putting the ridge up against the ridge on the fabric of the block. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm up against the ridge again. Okay, trim, trim. Perfect. Oh. Okay. Boy, I'm having lots of troubles right now. Okay. Cut. That sounded funny. Turn it around, turn it around. 3.5. And cut, cut. One more. Oh yeah, square triangles. Oh, see, I got off the ridge for some reason. My seam must be kind of soft right there, so that's all right. 3.5, go down. Anytime something looks funny, just check it. Who cares? Just check it. There we go. All right, so we've got all of our half square triangles made. And so now all we have to, oh, wait, nope, we don't lay it out yet. We need to snowball the corners of the mint and apricot because we're going to create that centerpiece. Now, this is where I said earlier that I set this aside because I didn't want to lose the 4 little pieces. Now what we need to do is we need to refer back to our cutting directions, and we're going to cut this 4-inch square into 4 2-inch pieces. So I'm just going to find my ruler. Where did it go? There it is. Okay, and I'm going to cut. Remember, use the white side because that is the whole number measurements. And I'm going to cut 2. I've lined it up. Okay, and now I'm going to actually stack them and do it again. This is already 4 inches, so we know that it's going to cut in half exactly. So no worries. We don't have to worry about making sure that we have a straight edge and all that stuff because we already cut it. So here's my little 4-inch squares. They're so cute. My 2-inch squares. They're cute. Okay. Again, we're going to be putting these, we're going to snowball. So what snowballing means is we're going to take this and we're going to put it on this corner. We're going to have drawn line from corner to corner or use your diagonal seam tape. And then we're going to end up putting a little corner on there. So this is actually called snowballing because if you did it to all 4 corners, it would look like a snowball when you were done. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off by drawing our, you can fold it if you want. Actually, that worked out really well. So you can fold it and crease it and just sew along this crease, or you can put your pencil on again and draw corner to corner like we did on our background squares. Or you can take it over to your sewing machine and just use your diagonal seam tape if you have that. And this time, when you line up, you will be lining up in the center because we are going to sew directly on the line this time. Not a 1/4 inch away, directly on the line. Anytime you snowball, you always sew directly on the line. Okay. And we only need the minty green and apricot, oops, sorry, apricot ones, because we're going to take this and you need to make sure that you are crossing your corner. So you're going to put it this way so that you're going parallel to your line. And then we're going to sew directly on the line right down that corner. Okay, so you're going to take it, parallel your line. Get that thread off, come on.
Okay, parallel, and parallel. Okay, we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to get those sewn on. Okay, so back here at the sewing machine, I've kept them in the same order. I've got them laid on the corner, parallel. I'm going to double check it every time just to make sure, because if you do it the wrong way, you'll have to take it out. But you'll notice, especially if you drew the line, because if you do this, it's crossing and you're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. So I think you'll notice. It's pretty simple, but I think it's going to have a cool effect. And you're sewing directly on the line. I know I say that a lot, but trust me. People will do it wrong. Okay. You can even sew just a smidge towards the outside, and that way it's like a thread width, because that'll give you a little bit of extra room when you flip it back. Choice is yours. I tend to just sew on the line, and I don't really have a problem, but it's up to you. And this is a small piece. It's not that big of a deal. It's still going to look good when it's finished. Just like that. There's only 4. Okay, so I'm going to take these apart. You don't have to go up another side because there is only the one. Come on, lost my string. There we go. Okay, so now cut off my extra little threads. We're going to go back to the cutting table, and this time we're not going to cut on the drawn line, obviously, because we just sewed on it. So we're going to actually put our ruler on there. We're going to cut off a 1/4 inch, and then we're going to flip this back, and your block will look like that. So let's do it. Okay, so now we're going to trim these up or cut these off. What you can do is put your 1/4 inch line right here on your stitching line. So I'm using a smaller ruler because it's easier, but you could use a bigger ruler if you wanted. In fact, these big, or any Creative Grids ruler, has the little shaded area here for your 1/4 inch. So you can put that on, and it's a little easier to see right here. And then just trim it off. You can toss those, and then we're going to finger press it back again so that we have that for our block. And then of course, after I trim them all, I'm going to take it over to the iron and press it down. So let's do another one. I'll keep using the Creative Grids, that way you can see it easier. Okay, 1/4 inch line is going to be right on my stitching line. Trim it off. I'm going to do all the trimming first. Okay, put it on my stitching line. Trim it off. Put it on my, oops, hello. Put it on my stitching line again. Trim it off. That was easy. Okay. Oops, that's not my garbage pile. And then flip it over, give it a little finger press. Flip it over, give it a little finger press. And last one, flip it over, finger press. Now I'm going to take it over to the iron, and I'm going to give each one just a little quick press, and then we'll come back and we'll put the block together. Okay, so these are all pressed now and looking gorgeous. So we are going to now lay out our block according to the diagram here. So I'm going to do it right here on my wool pressing mat, which will make it easy when I need to press. Okay. I always start with corners. So in this pattern, the apricot goes in the corners. And I'm just going to keep referring back to that even though you can't see it. So there's the corner. Oops, corner. 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 Now I'm going to go in, I'm going to put in all these teal pieces. So they're pointing into each other on every corner. Like this and like that. So every corner is going to look like that. Pointing in. Pointing in. Pointing in. It's kind of making flying geese in the corners too, isn't it? It's funny how you don't see the pattern. until you lay it out with actual fabric. Okay, so it looks like that. So yeah, I made a star. Yeah, that's cute. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our snowball pieces, and we're gonna make it so that the light apricot goes towards the middle. So all you have to do is just lay your apricots into the middle. Like that. And that will be our finished block. Let's see if I can raise it up just a little bit. So there you go. That's what it's going to look like. Ooh, it's so pretty. Okay, so we're going to now start sewing them together. So I'm just going to literally sew each row together. I'm going to sew these all together, and then this row, and this row. Now, when I'm done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finger press and then actual press all the seams in this row going that way, and then this row will all come back this way. They'll all go that way, and they'll all go that way. So I'm not going to press until I'm actually done sewing each row together. And then that way when we put them together, they'll lock and nest, and I'll talk more about that in just a couple minutes. So let's get sewing. Okay, so now we're going to start sewing our rows together. So like I said before, I'm going to take all these pieces in the top, and I'm going to sew them together. I'm going to chain piece it though. So I'm going to sew this one to this one. Oh, let me see. This one to this one, this one to this one, this one to this one, this one to this one. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other half, and then I'm gonna sew each row together. So I'm still chunking it up a little bit, but it works. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by taking this piece, I'm gonna flip it directly over, grab it so I know which side I'm sewing on. If you forget or you lose track of what you did when you picked it up, no big deal, just lay it back down and check it. Trust me, do that before you sew it. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna flip this over. I'm gonna grab it on the side I'm sewing, line it up, and sew. Okay, same thing, flip it over, grab it on the side I'm sewing, and the final one in that side. Oops, put you back. Now I'm going to cut these apart. I'm going to keep them in the order though that I did it. So this is the bottom, then the next one, second one, and top. So I'm going to bring it out here. I'm going to lay it back out. I know that the apricot has to go in the corner, so I know that. On this one, I know that the light apricot has to go in the middle. Again, light apricot has to go in the middle. Oh, that's right. Woo, that looked weird. Don't know why. Okay, but always check it with your pattern if you're not sure. Okay, no, it's right, because these two have to point together and these two have to point together. This threw me off for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the other side, which I can't get into the camera because it's too far back. But I'm doing the exact same thing. So I'm going to grab the same two, grab it on the side I want to sew. Line it up. And sew. Grabbing the next two, grabbing it on the side I want to sew. Next, I'm doing exactly the same thing I just did. Oops, lining it up. Okay, and take them apart in the same order. So bottom, next, second, and top. I'm going to open it up again, just like I did before. I know that the apricot goes in the corner. And I know this one goes in the middle, the light apricot. Light apricot goes in the middle, and the big light apricot goes in the corner. Okay, so now I have them all like that. Now, I still don't have to do any pressing yet, even though I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to sew them together because there's no seams that are nesting yet. So I'm going to take my top piece, I'm going to lay it on top of the next one, and I'm going to do the exact same thing, just going down and joining each row. Come on. Okay, got it lined up. I kept track of which side I was sewing on. If you didn't, lay it back down. Okay, I'm going to take this one, I'm going to flip it right on top of it. I am trying to line up my little points here in the middle just because this is the center. So they are not going in opposite directions, so they won't nest, but you can, they're small. You can actually see that they're touching each other. And I'm going to be a little more careful when I go through the sewing this time so that I don't move them. Just because it is the center. And I'm going to do the same thing on the next one because it's the other half of the center. So I'm going to take my time a little bit because they're not nesting, because the nesting is going to go into play when we put the rows together. So I'm lining them up, and then just going to be careful. And if they're not exact, I'm also not going to dye it over. And then I'm going to put this one on top of here. And sew it. Okay, again, when you take them apart, just keep them in order. So this is the bottom. In fact, if you want, you could even lay these ones out. I know that it goes that way. This is the next row. I know that the light apricot here goes towards the middle. This one's the next one. It goes towards the middle. And then this one is the top. Don't like extra threads, and I'm gonna lay it right there. So, okay. So now they're all laid down. And so I'm now going to be doing the finger pressing. So I'm gonna start with this one, and I'm going to press everything that way. Doesn't matter which way, as long as it's the opposite of the other things. So I'm going to flip it over so I can see it. Remember, whatever you're flipping toward is on the top. So you put it on the top, flip it over, and I'm finger pressing it underneath there. I'm gonna roll it down, and I'm gonna flip it and finger press it again, and then I'm gonna roll it and finger press it again. So that's how you can get everything going that way. I'm gonna do the same thing, but this time I'm gonna press everything this way. So now I gotta start over here. So I've got it laid down. Now I'm finger pressing it, got it, flipping it over. So I'm finger pressing, and then I'm flipping it over, and I'm finger pressing. Okay, and I'm gonna do this just like the first one. I'm gonna go that way. So I'm gonna start here, finger press, lay it down, finger press, lay it down, finger press. And they're not perfect by any stretch because I'm taking it over to the iron in just a minute. If you don't want to take it over to the iron, then you might want to do this on a harder surface, not your ironing mat. And then make sure you can really get your fingernails on there or the tip of your finger or whatever and make it a good crease. I'm not. I'm going to take it over to the iron board, so I don't care. And then this one's going to go this way. So I'm going to lift it up so I can flip it that way. I'm going to lift it up so I can flip it that way. Lift it up and flip it over. Give it a little press. Now I'm going to take these over to the iron, and I'm just going to, right on my ironing mat, it's really cool. And I'm going to just press everything down so it's nice and crisp, and then we'll come back and put it together. Okay, so now we have them all neat and pressed. That's going to be beautiful. And now we're going to sew each row together. So if we take our top and flip it over, when you look here, you have your seams going in opposite directions. And so you can actually nest them. That's what it's called, is nesting. You put your two ridges that are gonna go right up against each other and nest. So if you don't have them lined up, you can feel the gap
between your fingers for the top and the bottom. And if they're lined up perfectly, you can feel no gap. It's exactly perfect. So it is lined up very well on that one. So I'm going to clip it, and then I'm going to do the middle. Now the middle is going to be a little harder because it's thicker, but if you're not sure, pull them apart, feel the gap, and then push them back together, and then you'll feel confident that there is no gap. So I'm going to clip this one as well. If you were really worried about your points, like if it was for a different project, a important project, or just whatever, not that this is important, but you could use a pin, because a pin will lock it in place a little bit better than a clip, but this is okay with me. And so this one is good-ish. And I'm going to clip it, and then, let me look at that one again. There we go. See, it wasn't quite right. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull these together, and I'm going to just start on the end, and I'm just gonna remove my pins as I go. Now, since I'm starting on a thick spot, I use a little leader in my sewing machine first, so that I can give it a little bit of a tug. It has something to bite onto. Sometimes your machine doesn't like to push it through when it's a little bit of a thicker spot, so I start with a leader, because then I can give it a little gentle tug to help encourage it through. There we go. Now when I pull my clip out, I put a little bit more pressure on my finger to hold it in place. When I take the time to open my stiletto, I use my stiletto for that. But today I'm just going for it. It's always the moment of truth, right? How did we do? Not too bad. Not perfect, but not too bad. I'll take it. I don't care. So my top has got a little bit of a gap, but not enough that you can even see from back here. So it's good enough. Plus, once you do all the quilting on it, it's not going to show. So flip it over. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to line up my seams so they nest. You don't want them on top of each other. You want them butting up against each other. Okay, there we go. And then the middle, which is, the more challenging one. Only because we have more seams. So it's a little bit harder to feel, which you could see mine was off a little bit on my other one. So, but not enough for me to worry about. I think that is good. You can also flip it back. I kind of like to try to hold it together at the 1/4 inch, and then I flip it back to see if it's actually lined up. And that one looked pretty good, so we'll find out. Gonna put my leader in again. Okay, and then I'm going to start here. Felt like I might have had a tiny bit of a gap there. Yep, it had a tiny bit of a gap there, but no bigger than that one, so I'm good. All right, so it turned out all right. See, it's just a little tiny bit right there. Who cares? Looks good to me. Okay, again, I don't have to do any pressing yet because I'm not done. I'm going to take the top piece and put it onto the bottom, and everything should be fine. Now, this time, the middle is going to be the easiest seam because it's small. These ones are going to be harder because there's more seams now. So put it together, give it kind of a look. Nope. There we go. Now I felt the ridge pop down so that they were side by side instead of on top of each other. Okay, I'm going to do the other end. I don't know why I always do the ends first and then go to the middle, but I do. Okay. It's like sewing by braille, right? You got to feel it. Okay. Now, only thing you might want to think about on this one is you kind of want these little points to be lined up a little bit where these other colors come in. Just because if they're way off, they're going to have like a funky looking triangle in the middle or diamond. So I'm going to take a little bit of time. They're not nesting because they are going in the same direction, but see if I can just make sure they're laying right on top of each other. This one is being stubborn. There. I'm going to clip that too. It's not crucial, but just, you know, it's right in the middle of the block, so I kind of want it to look pretty. Okay. But again, I'm not going to, you know, freak out if it's not exact. Okay. Start. Sometimes when it gets a thick seam like that, you got to give it a little encouragement to get over. I'm holding these together now. Line up this end. Don't like loose threads. How did we do? Oh, no. Ugh. Oh. Well, I am going to have to get this one. Oh, it slipped down in the back, so I am going to have to seam rip this a little bit because when it slipped down in the back, it actually left a gap. So there's actually a little gap in my sewing right there. So I'm going to have to take that one apart and fix that. But yeah, so I'm going to take, probably I'll have to take this row out to probably the middle. I'll probably just go past the middle. That way I can reline up the middle and make sure that it looks good because it's awfully close to this spot. So I will do that and we'll be back. Hey, these things happen, right? No big deal. We're just going to fix it and get going. All right, so I have taken it apart and I've redone it. And so it turns out that the previous block, I missed it. One of the half square triangles, I didn't sew it quite all the way to the edge, and so it actually did have a little hole in it. So I took it out halfway, a little over halfway, and then I fixed that spot, and then I sewed it back together. And so it looks fine. It's got a little bit of a bubble. Sometimes that happens when you put stuff back together, but once it's pressed, I think it'll look fine. So I'm going to go over to the iron, and I'm going to press my these final seams open. That's how I like to do my final seams. So, and then I'm going to press my block nice and flat, and then I will be back and we'll look at the finished product. Okay, so she is pressed and done. And look how beautiful that looks. I absolutely love this block. I love these colors together. I think I'm going to use these colors in my final product. So, yay. And it might not be perfect in every single little point, but it's pretty good. I mean, we try our best and then hope it goes well. And I think that went just fine. I got a little pucker right there, but you know what? Once you quilt it, you'll never see it. So you can go ahead and trim your block down to 12.5 now if you want to. I always wait until I'm done and then I trim all my blocks at the same time, but you can do however you want. So anyways, I hope you loved it and that you enjoyed the video and you come back for more. I will see you later. Bye.